Final Fantasy XVI is too easy, lacks almost everything you expect from an RPG, has mostly excruciatingly boring side quests, the locations lack personality, and it's generally unfun to traverse any of the areas. Despite all that, I had a fantastic time playing through this game. Not only that, but I went out of my way to play it twice and get the Platinum Trophy, something I haven't felt compelled to do for any other game in over a year. Why? The combat is fun. I absolutely loved a few of the characters. Most importantly, this game is a sight to behold. The spectacle is unreal. Once you have a few of the icons at your disposal, you can get into what feels like a rhythmic flow state with the battle system. It strongly reminds me of how I played the two recent God of War games. Chaining abilities together while peppering in some regular attacks as you wait for the cooldowns to end feels great. I'd say I enjoyed God of War combat a similar amount, but for a different reason. As Kratos, it's like you're playing as a strength build, absolutely decimating things with the raw power. In this, it's more about your speed and finesse, dashing around, making precise dodges while taking every opportunity to get some damage in. Not only that, but you're constantly summoning magical beasts to do your bidding. Dad Kratos and Clive feel like they're born from the same battle system, but they're two completely different classes. The Barbarian and the Magical Soldier Boy, if you will. It is certainly too easy. I only died once in my first playthrough, and it was because I failed to enter Joshua's force field when Bahamut was about to unleash the full force of 10,000 moons upon us. Apparently, get behind me actually meant mount me. Anyways, this is usually a major deal breaker for me. Calling difficulty a preference is probably an understatement. In most cases, a game being easy or simple is an outright deal breaker for me. I'm a From Software fanboy, so when games don't push back or when they hold your hand, it frustrates me. It's hard to pinpoint, but the pace of the fights and the spectacle and the timely management of your dodges and abilities made it fun despite it being easy. My second playthrough on Final Fantasy mode did make it a bit more difficult. I died a few times, but it didn't change much. Honestly, playing through it on hard mode made me realize that a game like this might have been hindered by being more difficult. I think it would ruin the pace of the fights. I was constantly in awe, especially in the icon fights, and I would have just been annoyed if I had to replay cinematic moments because they were more bullet spongy. It's strange, but I think the easy nature actually benefits the spectacle of it all and lets that aspect shine more brightly. And boy, does it shine. The icon fights are some of the highest highs I've experienced in a video game. They just ooze style, super satisfying, and have what is likely the best animation I've ever seen. It's like Michael Bay decided to make the coolest anime of all time. It's the Godzilla game I never truly knew that I wanted. Clive, Sid, and Dion are some of the best written and acted characters in any video game. Honestly, I think Clive is probably the most likable protagonist I've witnessed to date. This may be the only game where my favorite character is the main one. It's almost always the supporting cast that wins me over. I'm looking at you, Sully.
Victor, goddamn Sullivan, you still dragging this tired old sack of shit around?
I might like Sid more, that voice though.
You're too nice is your problem.
But I'm trying to make a point here, so I'm gonna go with Clive. My point is that the MC is usually boring, and this game is refreshing in that regard. The game is too long, as most games are these days. It could have been 30 to 50% shorter, and it would be better for it. 90% of the side quests were uninteresting, and that bled over into some of the main quests too for some reason. The amount of times I had to walk back and forth in the hub area made me want to get someone to treat me like Clive treated Hugo. The whole, the whole D-handing thing. When I really think about it, playing this game and ignoring most side quests would actually make it a better game. It would make it more difficult, as you'd be a lower level, plus you would skip most of the monotonous parts. It's a shame I always feel compelled to do everything in a game like this. The implementation of RPG mechanics here is a shame. There's little to no customization in terms of your equipment. You basically always have access to the best thing you could need at any given point. To bring up the recent God of War games again, they had more RPG elements than this. That's nuts! I want to customize Clive more. I want to have an actual party of characters. I want to choose who's in that party, and then I want to customize them as well. None of that's here. I understand why, due to the focus on the narrative and the way that it progresses. It would be a much different game with a party system, but that doesn't shy me away from wanting that change. That's a pillar of Final Fantasy. With that in mind, I'll make my final point. This doesn't really feel like a Final Fantasy game. However, this isn't a detractor to me. I'm more of a modern Final Fantasy enjoyer myself, so I don't have a lot of skin in the game. I think that all the aspects that do feel like Final Fantasy, such as the icons and the focus on crystals, greatly enhance the experience, but it feels weird to consider this the new template for a core game. It's not really an RPG, it's an action game. Overall, in what is probably the best year of all time for video games, this sits near the top despite all of its flaws. The highs in this game are so incredibly high that I can't help but feel overwhelmed by its sheer cinematic glory. In an age where cinematic storytelling can frequently feel uninvolved and passive, this remained highly engaging when it really mattered. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to comment below telling me how fun it was, you know. And thank you to all of my patrons over at patreon.com/doubleguns. That would be, we got some Icy, we got some Kinoth, we got Mex, we got Hooky, and we got Scion. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video. Farewell.